What's going on, everybody? The saga continues. So, I hope most of you watching this video got a chance to head over to your local game stores yesterday, this past evening, and enjoy some Magic the Gathering Friday Night Magic with your friends and potentially families. And that you got a chance to actually have open discussions with people that you talk to every week and get somewhat of a pulse. I hope that the arguments didn't get heated, even though I'm sure that that happened on a broad scale all across the spectrum. I'm sure people were angry and yelling at each other and spewing opinions at each other because that's what families do. And at the end of the day, us Magic the Gathering players are like a big family. We all enjoy the same things. We all have something that rises above and beyond who we are individually that we all co-equally share and enjoy in this game called Magic the Gathering. Some of us started playing when we were very, very young, when we were children. Some of us started playing when we were much older. Some of us started playing way back when the game was first getting its grassroots dug into the ground of our realities. And some of us started playing after the money monster took over. But at the end of the day, we all love playing this game and we all truly enjoy it. And it is obviously very important to us. But at the same time, something else that's really important to us is our wallets. It's our money. It's the way that we actually approach our decision making. And that's what makes this ban so important. And that's what makes it the ground shaking darkest day, as I have come to call it, that it has become. And that's why people are so angry and so upset. And so, in a stroke of genius and reason, instead of yelling out into the void, I decided, you know what? Let's do a poll. Let's go ahead and do a poll and see what everybody is feeling about this. And so, on one of the Facebook groups that I'm a member of, Magic the Gathering MTG, where there's over 180,000 of us, I decided to do a poll. Now, I will say that I am not some kind of famous content creator. I don't really have any influence. I'm just a normal guy that has experienced a lot in his life, just like any one of you. And so I didn't get much response. But out of the responses that I got for this poll that you see in front of me, something was very, very telling. Okay, so, I don't want you statisticians and math people to come on here and be like, oh, that's not enough people. Like, guys, come on. This is a random poll, but it should at least tell you a story. Okay, so the first thing that I said is, what do you guys think is the biggest consequence of the bannings for Commander? Okay, I didn't ask a very complicated question. This was very, very simple. Okay, what do you think are the biggest consequences? Okay, like, this is a very acceptance type of statement here, question, if you will. This is a very like, hey, let's just agree that this is our reality for a second, because the truth is, it is. This is our reality right now. And there are a large number of people who are accepting this reality for what it is, and there are a large number of people who are not. I'll tell you what camp I'm in after we're done, if you haven't figured that out by watching my previous videos. By the way, if you haven't watched my previous videos, you absolutely should. They're very enlightening. And I think that I am building a case, if you will, against this whole entire situation. But either way, that's not what this video is about. This video is about what you guys think, what the people think. Because at the end of the day, this is a game that the people should own. This is a game that the people should be able to make decisions about. All right? The people that ultimately live in the ivory tower over at Wizards of the Coast and places like the RC, like these ethereal decision-making places, they should be paying attention to what the community wants, what the community would say, and they should be making decisions accordingly. And so, this is the poll that I did. I said, what do you guys think about the biggest consequence of bannings for Commander? Now, The first option was current money value lost in banned cards. Because one of the number one arguments that I've seen for this is, man, so much money lost. You guys should have known better. People lose money all the time in bans. It's not that big of a deal. Whoa, it's $17 million. You guys should have known better. This is so much money. I mean, heck, I've even taken the financial standpoint. So I wanted to know, do people think that's the biggest consequence? Because at the end of the day, if we accept these bans for what they are, and we all look at this and go, all right, what's the worst thing that can happen out of this? Is it just the money? Because at the end of the day, if it's just the money, then are we all really just whining and crying about losing some money? Because here's the thing, like a personal anecdote here, I've lost money before. I remember one day I went to Walmart and I was so busy. I had my kids with me. I had so much stress going on, and I needed $100. And I did the cash back thing where you take $100 out and you do the cash back or whatever. And then one of my daughters, I think, was like, "Hey, can we go to Subway or something like that?" And I was like, okay. And I walked off, and I go to the Subway, and I go to pull out the money that I just did cash back off my card. And it's not my wallet. And I go, oh, what do I do with it? I look in the shopping cart, the bags, my pockets. I'm looking behind me. Did I drop it? I never took it out of the machine. And I lost my $100. So I've lost, and that was 100% my fault. But that happens. You lose money, right? People have lost money. You've dropped money. It sucks, and it really, really hurts, and it can ruin your entire day. It can ruin your whole week. And in some cases, depending on the amount of money you lose, it can ruin your entire life. So this is a very, very big consequence in this situation. And you might argue, oh, well, you didn't really lose money. You lost value. Guys, listen, the entire economy, if you know anything about how any of this works in life, the entire economy is revolving around perceived value. All right. If you look at the stock market, I think everybody can agree that the stock market kind of affects the entire economy. It affects how much you get paid. It affects whether or not you're even able to make your bills. It affects everything, right? And the stock market is all about perceived value. Okay. And listen, I'm not trying to draw a false equivalency to the stock market and Magic cards, even though in one of my previous videos that you should definitely go watch, I drew that equivalency, and I showed you that it very much is like a stock market. There's even a website called MTG Stocks, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the value, the money. Is that what it's all about? And honestly, a couple people voted for it. They said it was 2%, 4 votes. 2% of all the people that voted said, yeah, it was the money. That's the biggest consequence. And honestly, I was kind of shocked by that, because you would think that when people got hit in the wallet, that would be the thing that everybody's screaming about. This is the biggest consequence. We lost thousands of dollars of value. You figure local game stores would be coming up and saying, yes, I lost money. I lost value. I lost real cold hard cash. I've had to refund people. Because, by the way, these are all things I've heard. I thought people would be coming to this and clicking that. They didn't. Only 2%. Which tells you if 2% is 4 votes, it means about 200 people voted. So if you are one of those that's just going to watch the rest of this video and go, 200 people, that's not enough. That's not a good representative number. I'm out of here. This video stinks. This guy, he has got no following. Okay, well, whatever. Sorry to disappoint you. But before you go, how many people do you think 200 people is? That is, if you went to a public school that used to have about 30 students, maybe you went to one of those schools that had like 50 students, that is 5 to 4 times bigger than any classroom you've ever sat in. That is a lot of kids. That's like an entire lunchroom of people that all voted on this. And if you've ever been in that kind of situation and you're like, wow, this is a lot of people in this room, and that amount of people all voted on this, you would say, well, that's pretty representative of an entire community. Okay, yeah, because 200 people, that's a whole community. You know, that's a lot. That's a small village, you know? So before you pound your fist on your desk and say, "Oh, I was hoping this had millions of responses." It's like that's not how things work, man. Anyway, going to the next one. Loss of trust in the RC, the Rules Committee, WotC, Wizards of the Coast, and the future value of cards. Now, this one I kind of threw on there because when I was deciding what these polls would be, I thought to myself, we got to pick a consequence, okay? Something that's going to be long lasting, that kind of coincides with the one before it, but maybe aligns a little closer to what people might feel. Because I think that this is, to me, what really hurts, is that they made a decision that didn't represent you. And I thought to myself, you know, this is the way that you feel when you vote somebody into office, or you vote somebody into a position of authority, or you get a new manager. Like maybe you work somewhere and you know, your cool work buddy used to be like your road dog, and they get promoted to being your boss, and you're like, cool, we're gonna have a great time, I got a cool boss. And then all of a sudden they completely change, and you're just like, whoa. And they start instituting policy, and the next thing you know, they have to write you up for the first time for doing something that you and them used to do. And you're just like, oh man, I can't trust you anymore. Can't trust you to have fun anymore. And so I thought about that, and I was like, okay, well, maybe this is an issue. So I just typed it out. And I will tell you, I was really surprised. 46% of the votes, 88 votes, said that the biggest consequence is that they've experienced a loss of trust in the RC, WotC, and the future value of cards. And this is so important, because I was watching another video. I can't remember. It may have been Josh Lee Kwai and Command Zone's video. It may have been the professor's video. These are all great videos, by the way. You should head over to their channels and watch these videos. They have some really good takes. They have what I think are some really, really bad takes. They have some very, very safe takes. Let's just put it that way. Because each video would start out with the whole like, oh, by the way, you should never threaten anybody with violence or death over this. And while I agree with that, I think that's the safest take that you can have. I've added on to that, and I've condemned them for, even, you know, and not in a victim blaming way, but I've condemned the RC and said, you guys should have known better. You know that whenever you affect somebody's wallet in the way that you did, that you're going to get some negative repercussions. And so you guys are a victim of your own decision making. And so I'm not going to coddle you too much. I'm going to chastise people that do that, just because that is really low functioning brain activity to do that, to threaten somebody's life over the loss of value of cards. But at the same time, I'm not going to invalidate their feelings that caused them to react in that way, because you did something very, very terrible and obviously wrong. And I don't care what spirit of commander you were following in that moment. You need to have that thought in your mind whenever you're making this gravitic of a decision. And on top of that, when you write in your post, we were sending a strong message. You know, we could have, you know, if you go back to the RC's little FAQ that they created about this whole situation, they said we could have, you know, waited and banned him a little bit more slowly, but we wanted to send a strong message. Okay, well, guess what? Your strong message was met with an equally as strong response. And so I'm not going to feel bad that you got those threats, right? I'm going to condemn the people who did it, but I'm also not going to be upset that they did it, because I'm just like, hey, that, for a lot of people, I'm being a realist here, guys. For a lot of people, that's a natural response. And you should have known that, because the types of people that play Magic is very broad. We have people who are very well-spoken, stable individuals that play Magic, the kind of people that you just want to be around. And we also have people who are emotionally unstable. We have people who have all kinds of, you know, all kinds of problems at home. We have young people who are more apt to make these kind of rash decisions to do this kind of things. And we have people who are middle-aged, and we even have older people. We have senior citizens that play this who are less likely to do that. So there's a broad scale of people. And you got to think that if you don't understand that and you decide to make this kind of decision, then you kind of deserve the reaction you get, especially when you say you're going to make a strong message by deleting millions of dollars of value from people's wallets and collections. So, sorry, don't really feel that bad for you guys. Sucks. I feel most bad for Olivia now that I know that she voted with you guys. But it's what happens, okay? Let's be real with each other for a moment. All right, but yeah, and that kind of goes along with this whole point, is that 46% of people that took this poll believe that it's the loss of trust that's the biggest consequence. And you know what? Trust is an important phrase here. All right. I'm going to try not to be too long in tooth about this specific thing, but trust is an important phrase because trust is what sells the product. At the end of the day, what sells this product more than other games that have failed is the trust and the confidence that the people that are producing this game, that are in charge of the decision, are going to make good, solid, firm decisions. And ultimately, the value is part of that. Because people will go out and they will spend $25 on a booster pack because they think to themselves, yeah, I'm going to get cards out of here that I can play. But ultimately, I have a real tangible chance that I can pull a card, a chase card, that's worth a lot of money, and I could get the value out of this pack that I want. And if I get hosed, cool, I get hosed. It happens all the time. You open up a pack and it's like barely worth what you paid for it. Sometimes you open up a pack and it's actually negative EV, right? We have these terms for a reason. Negative EV, and you're just like, oh. And maybe you open up another pack, and maybe you go for another one. Maybe you got a better job, you can afford another one. Maybe that experience is everything you ever wanted. I've had this happen. You open that pack up and then boom, you get a serialized card that's worth $300 or $400 and you're like, yeah. But that trust that you can have that higher level experience of opening something of extreme value that is going to be able to hold its value, maintain its value above and beyond everything else, that is what has kept this game going for so long. I can't tell you how many times that I've personally had this experience when I'm proud to show off the value of my collection. You know, like somebody that's new to the game, I get really excited and say, hey, this game is really fun. Hey, but you know what else? Is that even though those packs are really expensive, if you hold on to these cards, they could go up in value over time. And then you tell them about Black Lotus. You tell them about reserve list cards. You tell them about these chase cards that you can get. And so that's built into the DNA, if you will, the backbone of the game. This concept of value is built into the backbone of the game from its very inception, from the first time that you started playing. It's what made you become a more serious player, whether you like to believe it or not. And you might argue with me on that, and I would call you a liar. Or maybe I'm just projecting on you, but it doesn't matter because I've seen it. And I'm sure that there are hundreds and hundreds of people that agree with me. Maybe thousands, maybe most people. I don't know. But the point is that value is a central part of this game, right? And so when you have people who are at the top of the game in the ivory tower that are willing to delete that much value because they want to send a strong message, not just because it's broken, not just because it really affects the game negatively, which, by the way, it doesn't. I don't care how much you say that Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus negatively affected the game, you're just categorically wrong, right? You can't just say that those have a negative effect on the game because that's not true. Like, Hull Breacher has a negative effect on the game. The fact that one of the best things that you can do in Magic is like draw cards, right? And you play something that stops you from drawing cards and at the same time does the other best thing in Magic is gain mana. Like these are central parts of the gameplay experience and it just makes it miserable, right? Like that's different. But like your opponent coming up on mana is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you feel bad. If you look at somebody, I can't, if I look at somebody bust a mana crypt down on the table, I'm not going to be like, oh, game's over. This sucks. It stops me from being able to do anything. No, that's not how that's not how that works. Like Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt do not have that effect. They never have. They never will. These kind of cards don't have that effect, right? And the thing is, when you use that as an argument and delete all this value, you lose trust. People don't trust the RC. They don't trust WotC anymore. And they've been losing trust in WotC for a very, very long time. Ever since as long as I can remember, people have just been losing. People quit the game. Back when I used to own a game store forever ago, people would sell me their collections all the time. I quit this game. I don't want to play anymore. I hate WotC. They've made bad decisions, something I don't agree with. This is so much more worse than that, okay? Because why? Because the RC, the rules committee, who is supposed to be representing the community for WotC, failed us. And they hit it from the CAG. The RC has become the number one thing that we hate and love at the same time. They have become basically WotC, and they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be a third party, but they've done it. So yeah. Let's go to the next one. Viability of decks in the format because of bans. I put this in here because I've heard this argument, oh, you guys banned my card. This is the lowest level argument, I think, for this, against this ban, is the viability of decks. Because, a lot of people were saying that, like, the Nadu ban was fine, right? And everybody knows that Nadu being banned doesn't hurt Simic at all. Right there, you can play Kinnan, you can play Eutropia. You know what I mean? Like, you want to play Constellation, you can play Eutropia. You could play, I don't know, Tatiova. You can play so many Simic commanders, right? So many Simic commanders. Not all of them are going to be hyper competitive like Nadu, but you want to draw cards, get Tatiova. You want to draw your whole deck, get Tatiova. Throw in a bunch of throwing a bunch of things that can drop lands and stuff like that, and you're going to draw through your whole deck and gain life while you're doing it. You don't need to do it this cheeky way with like producing tokens and stuff. That was fun. Nadu was fun. It does really interesting things, but it's not even the best at what it does, right? There's other cards that can produce this same effect. There's other powerful card combinations in Simic. You could probably take a Nadu deck and literally insert Eutropia and Tatiova, and you'll be fine. Okay? Like, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. Now, with that being said, a lot of people were like, Dockside, this hurts red, right? You can no longer play mono red in Commander. I mean, Krenko still exists. Last time I checked, Krenko's a mono red deck. It didn't really need Dockside. Most Krenko decks don't play Dockside, and it doesn't matter. You still have Ancient Copper Dragon that can produce a ridiculous amount of treasures. Not as effective as Dockside. Like, let's be real. Like, Dockside is one of those cards that it is very unique in what it does. It is very powerful. It's very easy to combo, but it's not because of it being in a mono red deck. That's the one thing that got, because if you want to produce a lot of mana very fast in mono red, you can get, like, I believe it's called Treasonous Ogre. You can pay some life, get a bunch of mana. There's other ways to produce a lot of red mana. The thing with Dockside is that it was being abused in other decks like Jund. It was being abused in decks that were really relying on the power of Dockside to accelerate game plans that belong to other colors. And I think that's why, for me, Dockside was one of those meh. Like, this is okay. It's okay to ban it. I get it, right? Like, all you got to do is sit through one Underworld Breach loop using Dockside, and you're like, yeah, this is busted, right? But the thing is like, I don't even really fully agree with Dockside being banned, because the whole purpose of these bans were purported to be because of casual play. and to make casual play more of the format. That was their strong message, remember, that they were sending. And as I say that, I shake my fist, strong message. But the thing is that people didn't really play Dockside in casual decks. And even if you were on a casual table, like let's just say you're sitting at a casual table and you've got like a power level 9 deck and you've got Dockside ready to go, right? Nobody's playing all these mana rocks because that's what powers Dockside, all these mana rocks and artifacts and enchantments and stuff. Nobody's playing these on casual tables. If you sit on a casual table and you got like a level 9 deck and it relies on Dockside to produce mana and the other 3 players have like precons, guess what? Dockside's going to make like 2 treasures, maybe. It's going to pay for itself and you're not going to be able to combo with it. So like Dockside is not even really that strong at a casual table. And yes, it gets really strong in some of these competitive tables, these CEDH tables. But you know what? Like at CEDH tables, they have the tools to deal with it. They'll just counter it. They'll just like force will it or whatever, you know? They'll get rid of it. It won't even be a thing, you know? So Dockside getting banned to me was just one of those like really low level bans, and it was almost like we're banning this and Nadu because really what we want to do is we want to just ban Jewel Lotus. We want to ban these other ones because there's somebody on the RC that wanted to be Sheldon Menery. I'll be honest with you. Like this is the vibes that it gives me, because remember like Jewel Lotus came out in 2020. All right. There was some people that were like, Jewel Lotus is a design mistake. Fast mana is a mistake. And they just like held on to this salt forever. And they just wanted to ban this card so bad. Just so that they could be like, I'm the one that made these changes happen. You know, just so that they could be like, I thought Lutri, the way that it was pre-banned, I wanted to do that with Jeweled Lotus. And I finally got it done. And it's like, dude, take several seats, okay? Like, sit down. You are not that cool, and you made a really bad decision. So that's why I put this on here. And you know what? Almost no one voted for that. 1%. You would think that this is a thing that people are complaining about. This is a thing that, people present as like, come on, it's fine, you know, it's fine, you're so dumb, you're just mad that your deck has to get other pieces now, blah, blah. Nobody cares about that, guys. That is not what this is about. This is such a low-level argument. It is not about people caring that they have to put new pieces in their deck. That's not what this is about. Can we stop saying that for once, please? This poll right here should provide some decent evidence to show you that people don't care about their own decks when they get mad about this. It's not just about their own decks, okay? Very few people voted that. And because of that, I added this other option, because there might be people that are approaching it from a direction that like I approach it from. It's a combination of some of these things. Yeah, it's a little bit that people have to find other pieces when they really shouldn't have. Yeah, it's about the current money value loss, and it's definitely about the loss in trust. So I put some combination of the above others. All right. So to me, this 4% is actually at least an additional 4% for this. So that means 50% of people have a loss of trust. If half of your community has lost trust in WotC because of this, that's a significant number. I would wager to say that if half of the people decided to start making decisions based on this ban to stop buying expensive cards, to just stop supporting WotC, to all start doing proxies and stuff like that because, you know, we don't have trust anymore. You know, maybe they stop buying singles. Maybe they stop buying it. 50% of the people that played Magic did that. This game would experience a spiral down like nothing you've ever seen before, if that was the decision that people were making. Now, I will tell you this. This game is great. People love this game. People are going to support it even if they feel this way. I went and played Friday Night Magic. Friday Night Magic at my local game store is literally just Commander. We went and had fun. All right. I still supported it because I care about the community. But I'm never, ever, ever going to care about the price of an expensive chase. If I don't like the set, where previously I was all about chasing down high value cards, right? All about that. But if I don't like the set, from now on, I will not buy any sealed product. Why? Because I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money, my little budget that I have now to spend on collectible cardboard. I'm not going to spend any of it chasing down any cards. And so while I wouldn't consider myself a whale in my community, I'm not somebody that spends thousands of dollars every single time a set release. I buy about 1 or 2 boxes worth of value. I participate in the pre-release. I do a couple of things here and there. And imagine if every store across the nation lost every person like that for every one of these sets. Imagine if 50% of the people that used to buy into the hype machine no longer do that. There's going to be some massive repercussions for that, you know? And I think that's one of the biggest things. And now this last one, I wanted to put this in here because I felt like this is the way that a lot of people are. This is the way that a lot of people feel. They feel none of these reasons, it's fine. And people are complaining for no reason at all. A lot of people. 45%. 45% of the people that voted on this poll said none of these bans were bad. There was no consequences. This is fine. People are just complaining. And I'm going to tell you right now, at the end of the day, it's very important that when something like this happens, that there's a divided line somewhere. Right? It's very important that if WotC did something so egregious that if everybody's agreeing on something, then we have a real problem. We have a real problem if everybody agreed on it, right? But here's the thing with this. Me, when I saw this 45%, most of you are probably thinking, aha, see, I told you it's not that big of a deal. 45% of people, that's a pretty significant number. No, that's scary. That's scary that only 45% think it's no big deal. Because usually when something like this happens, usually when a ban like this, and I want you guys to understand, that this Magic the Gathering group is not just for Commander players. Okay, this is for modern players. This is for standard players, which I don't know if those kind of players even exist. This is for people that play Elder Dragon Highlander, Kamigawa Block Tiny Leaders, whatever format. This is for everyone. When 45% of the total community base, right? Remember, we're saying that this is a 200 votes. That's an insulated community, okay? When 45% of the community base say that it's fine, that nothing is wrong, there's no consequences, you have a serious issue. Because that tells you that 55% of people say that there are issues. And that's scary. Because this should have been the other way. When I did this poll, with the way that I had been feeling, I thought, man, there's probably going to be like something like 80% of people that say it's fine. As a matter of fact, when I first put this poll up, it was as high as 70%. And I was like, well, that's kind of what I expected. When I got like 60 votes in or something like that, it was 70% said it was fine. And I was like, man, that really sucks. You know, like that really sucks for my opinion, because I thought that I had this opinion that a lot of people shared, and apparently not. But at the same time, this is really good, because this means that the community is healing. Nature is healing. But the thing is, it's not healing. This is very, very bad. The fact that this dropped down to 45% after 200 votes, and I would wager to say that it would continue to drop down, or at least stabilize at this number. And if it stabilized at this number, if we were able to get more and more votes on this thing, I would think that having a majority, a solid majority, because somebody else did a poll. I was seeing a poll the other day, and somebody else did a poll, and it was 50-50. I think it was Josh Lee Kwai. It was 50-50 for the bans, against the bans. This, and even that number is scary. And I was like, maybe that's not bad. It's, maybe that's not reflective of reality, because he's obviously against the ban. He did it with his followers. And so people that are his followers are going to agree to a higher extent with his numbers. And so I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Still scary. 50%, 50%, and 50% of Josh Lee. It's a coin flip. And to me, that says that's a coin flip whether or not Magic the Gathering even survives after this. That's a coin flip. That's scary. All right. It shouldn't be that way. We should have resounding support for the game after a decision like this. You're always going to get a vocal minority. That's the way things happen. Right. You're always going to get that because people are mad. But when I look at this poll, this data, none of these people are my followers. They don't follow me. Every post that I make on this group of 180,000 plus people, every single post that I make on this group, there's people on there calling me an idiot, you're stupid. These people don't follow me, man. But yet they saw this post and the numbers are showing. This is the most vanilla way of getting real answers from an open community that I think anybody could get. And it's 55% to 45%. That's scary. I think about this because I play video games. I play one of the video games I play is called League of Legends. I'm sure you've heard of League of Legends. If you haven't, then it doesn't matter. The point is that they track data for win rates for champions. And their data is that as long as a champion has below a 55% win rate, they're fine. But the second that they start cresting above 55% win rate, they have to nerf that champion. Because 55% is so high of a percentage of winning that there's obviously a problem. There's something going on, right? So, and they also say that if you as a player have a 55% win rate over a huge span of games, you will rank up. Most of the players in the highest levels of that game, right? When they get 55% win rate, they climb all the way to the top. And if they can maintain that win rate over a broad period of time, they will continue to climb and they will eventually get to being the number one, the best. 55% win rate is enough of a compounding number that it makes a big difference. And so when I looked at this, I had that in mind and I said, 55%? They think that there's a problem, that there's consequences for this? That's significant. And if this continues to compound this way, that's not good for our communities and for our games and our game stores. It's not good, guys. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this data. Put an algorithmic comment in the comment section below. Tell everyone, hey, you're an idiot. This is not enough data. You don't have enough. Be the mathematician that you really want to be about this and tell me that I'm wrong. That's fine. Tell me in the comment section, or tell me if you really truly wholeheartedly agree. Do you think that this is a fair assumption of this data? And if you do, great. Share this with other people so they know that this is what's going on. Anyway, I want to shout out unboundcommander.com. That is a website that has been started, that I am a part of, that I have begun to put forward as a solution. It's a forum solution to this ban list, so that way people can start playing competitively again, and we can retake this whole scenario away from the hands of Wizards of the Coast, and we can start making decisions together as a community. I want people to join that website and start making posts and start doing things. I'm going to be active on there, making posts. Read the foundational document for Unbound Commander, also known as UEDH. And yeah, give me some feedback on that. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, peace, love, and chicken grease. See you guys later.